You know that feeling when you're in an argument and it's like you and the other person are speaking completely different languages? Well, what if I told you that in a way, you actually are? Today, we're going to build a kind of mental toolkit to figure out why that happens. And it all starts by looking at the very nature of belief itself. So let's just jump right in with a question. Do you believe sugar is sweet? I mean, yeah, of course, right? Okay, now, do you believe you're free? See, one of those is a simple fact of your senses. The other, well, that's a deep personal conviction about who you are. So are these two beliefs really the same kind of thing in our heads? This is where things get interesting. The core idea we're exploring today is that so many of our most frustrating disagreements, they all come from one simple mistake. We tend to throw all our beliefs into one big mental box. And then we try to argue about something huge, like freedom or morality, using the exact same tools we'd use to prove the boiling point of water. And, well, it just doesn't work. It's like trying to fix a watch with a sledgehammer. So how do we fix this? Well, it starts by realizing our beliefs get justified in two totally different ways. Think of it like there are two distinct paths our minds can take to decide, yep, I believe that. And here they are. On one side, you've got what's called empirical justification. This is all about external evidence. It's your microscopes, your telescopes, your data. It's the whole show me the proof path. But then, on the other side, there's extra empirical justification. This path is totally internal. It's based on your own reason, your life experiences, and, this is the key part, your choices. All right, so let's take a walk down that first path, into the world of evidence. This is the home of beliefs that, in a way, reality just kind of forces on us. The official term for these is non-volitional beliefs, which is just a fancy way of saying you don't really choose them. Think about it. You don't decide to believe in gravity. If you drop your phone, the evidence smacks you right in the face, or, well, the floor. When the proof is that overwhelming, belief isn't really a choice. It's just what happens. So, inside this world of evidence, we've got a specific toolkit for testing claims. It's got two main tools, verifiability and falsifiability. These two ideas are basically the engine that drives the entire scientific method. Okay, first up, verifiability. This one's pretty straightforward. A belief is verifiable if you can find positive evidence for it. So, if I claim there's a unicorn in my backyard, that claim is verifiable. All you have to do is go look for it. You might not find one, but we know exactly how to prove it if it's true. Now, falsifiability. This one is a bit trickier, but honestly, it's way more powerful. A claim is falsifiable if there's some kind of test you could run that could, in theory, prove it's wrong. The key isn't that it is false, but that you could prove it's false. This is the real line in the sand between a scientific idea and, say, a personal opinion. And the classic example, the one everyone uses, is the black swan. For hundreds of years in Europe, it was just a fact. All swans are white. It seemed obvious. And that statement is totally falsifiable. You can see a million white swans, and that supports your idea, sure. But all it takes is finding one single black swan to completely shatter the whole theory. And guess what? They eventually did. This idea was so huge that the philosopher Karl Popper basically said, this is it. This is the line. Falsifiability is what separates real science from stuff that just looks like science. If there's no way a claim could ever be proven false, even in theory, then it's just not playing in the science ballpark.
Okay, so we're leaving the lab behind now. Let's put away the microscopes and walk down that other path. We're now entering the world of choice. This is where we find the beliefs that no amount of data or experiments could ever fully settle for us.
These are called volitional beliefs. Volitional just means it involves your will. It's voluntary. No experiment is going to force these on you. Instead, you get to a fork in the road and you have to choose to accept them. It's a completely different mental process. So, what kinds of beliefs live here? Well, pretty much all the big ones. We're talking about the belief that you're actually conscious, that there's a you in there, the belief that you have free will, the belief that there's a real difference between right and wrong, and yeah, for a lot of people, the belief in God. And just think about it for a second. How would you even begin to prove these things with science? Could you design an experiment to prove free will exists? Could you pop someone into an MRI and say, there it is, the little blinking light for their conscience? It just doesn't work. The tools from the first path, verifiability and falsifiability, they just don't apply here. Now, this is maybe the most important point of the whole thing. Just because a belief is unfalsifiable doesn't mean it's unjustifiable or nonsense. Not at all. It just means it needs a whole different kind of justification, one that's built on reason, intuition, personal experience, and ultimately, a choice. And this brings us to the big idea, the real aha moment. Once you see these two paths, it lets you completely reframe what belief even means. We can finally move past this one-size-fits-all definition that causes so much trouble. You see, for more than 2,000 years, going all the way back to Plato, the gold standard for what we call knowledge has been justified true belief. But the argument here is that this classic definition is actually incomplete. It's only telling half the story. It works perfectly for the world of evidence, but it has absolutely nothing to say about the world of choice. So here's the new model that puts it all together. On one side, you have your justified true beliefs. These are the facts, the empirical truths, like water is H2O. You don't choose to believe that, the evidence makes it mandatory. But then on the other side, you have justified belief decisions. These are your deep convictions, like I am free. These are justified not by a lab test, but by an act of your own will. It is a decision to believe. And this distinction, man, it explains so much about us, doesn't it? It's the reason why someone's deeply held convictions about their freedom, their morals, their faith can exist with or without, against, or regardless of empirical evidence. It's because they're not playing by the same rules. In fact, they're not even playing the same game. They're being justified on a completely different field. So let me leave you with this to chew on. Take a quiet moment and just look at the landscape of your own mind. Think about the things you believe most strongly. And ask yourself, which of these are truths that evidence forced you to accept? And which ones are actually profound decisions you've made about who you are and what you think this world is all about? Honestly, just knowing the difference between the two, it might just change how you see everything.